The situation in Afghanistan remains completely volatile, with thousands still thronging Kabul airport in a desperate bid to escape the Taliban rule. Let's take a look at the top defining images from the country. In this video from capital city Kabul, Afghan women activist Crystal Bayat is seen leading a protest march against the Taliban. Protesters are heard raising slogans against the Taliban. Second image is also from Kabul airport. Visuals are from the side of the airport, which is controlled by the Taliban fighters. People are seen running for cover amid firing of gunshots. Taliban fighters reportedly fired to disperse the crowds present right outside the airport.
Wants to leave through this. It's the other gate of Hamid Karzai International Airport, which is under control of Taliban and their security forces and foreign forces. Right now, they are trying to control the situation here and the masses influx here through this aerial firing. It seems that it is causing more
Heart-wrenching images from outside the Kabul airport. A young girl reportedly lost her life in the chaos that ensued at the airport as desperate Afghans try to leave the country. A man is seen breathing into the young girl in a desperate bid to resuscitate her, but he fails in his attempt to do so. Heartbreaking images continue to pour in from Afghanistan, with thousands thronging the Kabul airport in a desperate bid to escape the rule of the Taliban. The airport has been a site of complete chaos as desperate Afghans are trying to leave the country using any available flight. Many families can be seen handing over their children to US and UK forces for a better future in a place other than the war-torn country. Separated from their parents, these children are now being looked after by the US and UK troops. The forces are not only helping in the evacuation, but also in providing food and water to children and women. Though the Taliban have promised peace, the reality on the ground is something else altogether. A terror group can be seen opening fire to drive the crowds back from the airport. No end to the human tragedy in Afghanistan. Desperation is forcing mothers to hand over their babies to US security forces at Kabul airport. This heartbreaking sight proves just how much people want to escape the brutality by the Taliban.
Parents desperate to send their infants out of Afghanistan. Taliban fighters raining fire at the Kabul airport. Nearly a week since the Taliban takeover, chaos continues at the Kabul airport. Thousands of people wait helplessly at the gates of the airport. With papers and passports in hand, they hope and pray that they will make it inside and catch a flight.
There is no water, no food. We have patients here. We have families, kids. There's lots of chaos going on right now. We are threatened by the local here that if we will get out from this place, then we will not be able to evacuate it.
Parents desperate to ensure a future without the Taliban for their children are even willing to separate from their babies. This heartbreaking footage shows how parents passed their wailing baby to strangers, hoping that their infant gets on a flight. And then you see how the American troops on the other side of the airport wall help out desperate Afghanis, carrying their babies in carefully over the razor wire and putting them in flights. Desperate Indians too are waiting for help. Over 250 of them are stranded close to the Kabul airport. They can hear the Taliban fighters' gunfire and are now stuck inside the building with no food and no water. Thousands are awaiting a flight to freedom out of Afghanistan. As Taliban rule returns, locals are thronging the Kabul airport in hope for a new lease of life outside their homeland. Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, as the Taliban return to power in Afghanistan, women are especially nervous in the country. We all know how in the past Taliban stopped education for women, barring them from working, meting out barbaric punishments to them in the garb of justice. Even the Taliban has promised to let women work, but history makes it difficult to trust. The country's first female mayor, Zarifa Ghaffari, continued to fear for her life. The 27-year-old said she's waiting for Taliban to come and kill her, and also said that there is no one to help her and her family. Ghaffari was a senior member of the Ashraf Ghani-led government. She even received death threats from the Taliban in the past. Her father, General Abdul Wasi Ghaffari, was gunned down by the terrorists in November last year. Watch Zarifa Ghaffari, Afghanistan's first female mayor, live and exclusive at 5 p.m. only on India Today. Shortly after Afghan media reported that more than 150 people, including Indians, have been abducted by the Taliban, fresh reports say they have now been released. Sources in the Indian government say authorities are in touch with all Indians who were captured and that they are safe now. Earlier, a source who was among the people picked up by the Taliban but managed to escape claimed Taliban members came near Kabul International Airport, where they beat up several people and then captured over 150 people. He said that only few, including his wife, were able to escape by throwing themselves out of the vehicle. However, Taliban spokesperson Abdullah Wasiq has rejected the abduction claims. The incident comes to fore amid Taliban placing security of Kabul in the hands of hardline Haqqani network, which has close ties with foreign jihadist groups, including a long-standing association with the Al-Qaeda. India's mission evacuation from Kabul is underway. 85 Indians have been evacuated from Kabul today. A similar exercise happened in 1992 when terrorists had taken control over Kabul. India Today's Shreya Chatterjee spoke to squadron leader Rajesh Kumar, who undertook the evacuation. What are the difficulties he faced and how it was different from today's evacuation? Let's listen in from the IAF veteran itself.
You're talking about a lot of difficulties that you face when such operations happen. There's also a secrecy. That needs to be maintained about when you are entering Afghanistan. In the present situation, how do you see it to be difficult compared to what you guys did back in 1992?
In the present situation, so much of information is available. People know that airport, it's difficult even now, it's not easy. The Taliban can use shoulder-fired weapons which are very effective at low altitudes. But what we are gathering from all news channels, that the airfield is effectively under the control of Americans. Therefore, a certain amount of security is guaranteed. In our time, we didn't have any information whether this airfield is under control of whom, what. It was only when we landed in Mazar-e-Sharif we realized that we are in a friendly territory. We didn't know till that time that this is a friendly area.
So, we're also seeing a lot of visuals where these officials who are going into these operations, they are facing the Afghan nationals. There are a lot of apprehension there in Afghanistan. They also want to board these aircrafts which are only for evacuation purpose of certain nationals who are stuck over there. How difficult is it for people who undertake these operations to overlook certain humanitarian aspect and just focus on these operations?
I pity the crew members because anyone that they are leaving behind, they must be feeling so sorry for them. But seeing those visuals of people clinging on to the American aircraft or other aircrafts, they are desperate. And I can tell you that no crew would be happy to leave them behind. But their constraints are so much. The load factor, you cannot carry beyond a certain number of people, so they have to be left behind. But this is now going on. It's like a sky train. The Americans are evacuating, we are evacuating, the entire European countries are evacuating. So I feel that there is a certain amount of tacit understanding with the Taliban in today's context that these evacuations are happening.
A week after Taliban took over Kabul, Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi is likely to visit the Afghan capital tomorrow. This comes after an Afghan delegation visited Pakistan on Thursday, called for the formation of an inclusive government through a power-sharing deal with all stakeholders. Significantly, the development comes amid reports that Taliban Supreme Leader Haibatullah Akhundzada could be in Pakistan Army custody. India Today learns from sources that he may be in the custody of the Pakistan Army and that he has not been seen by the Taliban senior leaders and fighters in the past 6 months. His last public statement came in May to mark Eid al-Fitr. Sources say Indian government has been studying information shared by foreign intelligence agencies to locate the secretive Akhundzada. Meanwhile, a US government report says that Pakistan's strategic security objectives in Afghanistan continue to be countering Indian influence and mitigating spillover of the Afghan civil war into Pakistani territory.